let's open the file. And it's recording. Okay. This is the file that we were looking at last time. The first thing, talking about the windows. So when you are in your Revit project and you have all these views open, you know that you have a lot of windows open. So it's not views that you're opening, these are actual windows that you open. The way to work with them and manage them is under View, and then this last piece over here where you can switch between windows through this menu. So it gives you actually the names. It's very useful when you have multiple projects open. You want to go to a specific project page on a specific project. It's very useful to do this. You could also control tab through them, but it's maybe the longest way of doing this unless you're working between two views and you want to go back and forth between Control Tab and Control Shift Tab. You can close hidden. That would close everything that is not visible on this view. You could also organize your sheets. So WT is the window tile. So WT would tile all the windows for you in the environment, so you can see where things are. You can easily manage them, and then you can ZE to zoom extend all of these, and then you have a better sense of what you have open and what you're dealing with. You could also cascade them to make sure you know what you have open and that kind of thing. So it's more of an internal Revit work kind of thing that is useful to be aware of. Next thing is how to do some callouts. So last time we were talking about these plans and how you want to show them in the future. Some of you has already done them, but for the ones who haven't, there is a callout tool under View, which you can easily click on and then draw wherever you need to do the callout. And then you can give it a proper name and where it's appearing on the sheet, and you can also control some of the details over here. As soon as you do this and it's a plan view, then it will show up on my project browser. So I have level 2 callout 1, which I can click on, and then I can see the details of this. Then here I can change this from wireframe to hidden lines and from curse to fine. And then I can start drawing some details on it. The interesting piece is that if I go under annotation and if I start drawing, I don't know, let's say for now I'm doing some detailed lines for something's happening there. Then when I go back to my level 2, that detail is not showing up here. So that's the view specific thing that you draw only for this detail. So if you're making up something or faking something for wall connection, it's only on this view and it's not over here. The good thing is that you won't see all the details here, it's not distracting. The bad thing is if you want to do another callout of this piece and it's very similar, then you need to copy this from the detail and over there. It's not going to show automatically. So that's how to do a callout. The next thing is about where's manage? Is about the line thicknesses. So first of all, I talked about the Manage tab, how you can go under some of these different tools and use them to organize your drawing. So you can have change your materials, change your snaps, your project information, the name of the people working on it, that kind of thing are accessed through here. Units, if you have too many things loaded in your project, your file is getting very heavy, you want to get rid of some of them, you can go under Purge and use and pick what area you want to purge, and then you can purge them all. And then if you want to change your line weights, it's under Object Style. So you would just click on Object Style, and then under here, there's a very detailed list of things that are showing up on your drawing. So you have the projection line, the cut line, these are line weights. So the projection is 1, for example, and the case works. The cut is 3, the color is black for the line color, the line pattern is solid, and then the material you can pick. So you can go through all these details and change stuff. So for example, the walls, the projection is 1, and then the cut is 4. If I change the cut from 4 to 10, and then I say OK, then if I go under View and turn this on, then you can see how these are very thick now. But if I go back to my Modify and change that from 10 back to 4, then these guys get thinner and they're actually showing at 4. So that's how to change some specific line weights. Yes?
Sometimes if you go into like you set up a template
Yeah.
and set line weights in there, then you don't have. If you
very good question. Yeah, I don't know the answer to that.
Well, you can just, like, if you go into, like, your view template, you can set that up, or if you just go to your office control, you can override the one that's there.
That's right. Yeah, yeah, great.
Probably needs like a palette.
Yeah, that's perfect. So yeah, you can deal with those here through this view template. You can make new templates and save those, and then if you need to apply them to you can have one for sections, elevations. You can have one for plans and apply them to those. Thank you. That was a very good point. And use those. Anyways, that's that. And then the export size, so when you go under print, here, if you pick a PDF printer, which I'm not sure if I have here or not, but whatever that thing is, under setup, I can pick my size of the paper and the details of the things I want to print. And also I can pick, select the view sheets, and then through this list, I can pick all the sheets I want to be printed into one PDF file with the proper sheet size and line weights and everything. Yes?
Do you ever get the problem where like you print it once and then you can't go print it again until you like close and reopen the program?
Sometimes the printing thing would show up here in the corner and it would be going crazy because sometimes some of the hatches you have in the drawings or something goes mad and it's trying to read all of it and it freezes. I don't have a solution for that, but I've seen that happening.
It's more like I fully print it, I can open the PDF,
Yeah.
but then like I go back, I edit something,
Yeah.
I just want to print the PDF again.
It doesn't
Like, I can't
work.
select,
Yeah, so
like, my
I've seen that happening. I don't know what's the solution for that.
I know what's the solution.
You do?
because
Great.
If your
You wanna come up here?
if your default printer is in Microsoft PDF, it doesn't work. You have to change it for anything else. Just the default printer on Windows, and it will work.
Good. Any other questions from these two guys? Great, thank you. Yes, okay, so those were those. And then these guys, I wish I had two screens. I could put this on a different screen, but anyways. I'm gonna go to a 3D view and start bringing in the massing that was not coming in last time. Actually, I'm gonna close this whole project and then open up a new file. I would make a click roll. Do you guys know how to make curtain wall systems, not just curtain walls? It should be yes or a no. So it can't be nothing. Thanks for the ones who are at least smiling. Okay, so if I go insert and bring in a file, you know the differences between the importing CAD and linking a CAD file, right? Yes, okay, good. So I would import a file here from the ones that I have. I want it to be an SAT because I'm working with nerve systems. Then it's automatically detecting my scale. I just want to say, okay, it's in meters, or it's in millimeters, whatever my original is. If I don't want to auto detect, and then it will bring in my mass. I need to give it a bit of time. As it's thinking, okay, there we go. In the 3 view, now here's my mass. I'll go to views and turn off the line thicknesses. So now I've got a massing in place. When you bring in a mass, you have all seen that it's pinned, so you can't move it around. If you wanted to move it around, you just need to unpin that, then it's free. Then you can easily move it. You can scale it up as long as you're inside the mass editing environment. So you would click on scale and make it bigger. If needed, you can put in actual numbers to do it more accurately. And then when you click on finish mass, then you can't scale it anymore unless you go back to edit mass mode. So now again, I can click, select it, and scale again. But the thing I wanted to show is this curtain wall system tool that is very useful in a bit more complicated geometries like this. So when you click on curtain wall system, then it will ask you to select multiple faces for that system. Then you will click on this, and you would create the system. The reason this is useful is that you can still go and make a wall by face for this element, and it would give you a wall. It's an off scale, so let me just change the scale on this guy for 2 so let's set that and make it probably, okay, I'll select scale, go from 1 to 40. Hopefully that's right. Check. Go back to wall or face. Pick this guy. Okay, now I've got a wall with a thickness, but when I pick my wall, I've got multiple walls there. Okay, that's that, delete, select one. Okay, when I get my wall, I can't go change the type into a curtain wall. It won't give me the curtain wall, it'll give me an error. What if I want to make it a glass curtain wall? So here's the solution. So if I delete that wall, instead of making a wall and changing the type to a curtain wall, I would actually make a curtain wall system. So I would click on this curtain wall system, I would pick the surface, then I would say, okay, go create a system for me. Now you can see it has pixelated the curve and have given me this curtain wall. I can select this, similar to other curtain walls, and go to my type and change the properties so it can give me a higher resolution. So instead of 3 meter by 1.5 meter, I want it to be 500 this way and maybe 900 the other way. So now I've got a better resolution of the panels, and it can give me a better look on the curve. So you can still make it smaller and get a better curtain wall out of it. So that's how you can get your curtain wall system. Then you can again go back in, change your panels, give them the materials you want, the uses you expect them to have. The problem is that you can't put door panels on them, and it makes sense because if you have an angled wall, how you would in real life put a door in it. So the way to do that is to make an actual straight wall which would host a door properly on that. Any questions for this? I assume it will be useful on some of the projects that you're using.
The curtain wall system isn't just for masses you imported though, right?
No,
It's
it's for any kind of mass that you have in Revit. The other thing I wanted to show is when you have a wall, and let me select only the wall. Okay, there, and then I want to select the mass and hide it. Okay, and then I want to go in and put a window in it. So here's the window, I'll just put that in. Or I can go to this where I have a bit bigger angle. You can see how it deals with that angle is that it will keep the window straight forward, it will dig into that wall, and it would make this window for me in this fashion, which could be an interesting design decision if it was a part of your design, but it's not actually following the curvature on your surface. I don't know if any of you guys have that issue in the projects or not, but the way to deal with that is, so this is a floor-based component. It's reading the floor, it's straight up, and it's just standing up there. There are components that are wall or face-based, so they are reading the faces and trying to follow those surfaces, which you can use. Some of them are known as roof windows or face-based windows that I have one model with me here. I'm going to load into the project, and then I'll see how this will react on this surface. So, and I haven't tried this before, so I don't know if it's going to work or not. But Velux windows are some angled windows that you put them usually between the roof and the wall, kind of in this intersection, and then they can open up into kind of forming an interior balcony kind of situation. So they are large angled windows. I'm going to load those families inside this project. I'm going to go to time, then I'll try and see if they work better for this tool. There's also another solution that you could use in this cases, which I'm going to show, but for now, so go under Windows, and you can see by default the new window type, the Veluxes are chosen. So I can go, and you can see now this is following the curvature of the surface. So wherever I put it, because it's a it's a face-based component. It will follow that curvature. It's not letting me to place that in for some reason, but at least it previews how this is showing up. I don't know why it's giving me that error, but probably those guys know, but yeah. Anyways, so that's how you can get a different window type and put it on a wall. The other solution to these kind of situations is that sometimes a curtain wall system is not only glass and mullion system. So you have you don't have these windows in. You don't have your wall in. You would unhide your massing. Unhide element. Click on that. Then you would make your curtain wall system. Pick that. Create the system. Select the sky. Go in. Define your cells to be a number that you want, 300 by 300 in this case, and then it will think, then it will give you the results. As you can see here, if I hide my massing, again, oops, that's not the massing, so if I select the mass, okay, now I've got a system of panels without any mullions. So these panels could be opaque panels for me. They don't have to be glasses. So if I have all my panels as opaque panels, they could be any kind of material that you want for your walls. And you could pick a few of these panels in the middle, make this one, okay, so let me do this. So I would select one panel, right click, select all instances in the project. Then I would make all of these into solid panels. Thinking and done. Then I can go back in and go, okay, I want to select that guy, and I want to select this with this other thing here. I want to select maybe that. I want to change these, oops, not that. I want to change them to glazed panels. I can also go in and give these guys their mullions. So mullion on those. This is a very small scale, so that's why it's looking a bit weird, but you could basically, and then you can go back in and join these mullions and work with that a little bit, but that's kind of another way of making that wall, because in real life, maybe it will be a modular system with all these panels you want to put in. Some of them will be glasses, and some of them would be the wall panel. So that's how you would maybe deal with that system.
Instead of having the whole thing be this curtain wall,
Yeah.
or the whole thing be a solid wall that you put individual windows in, what if you wanted like a strip between it? How do you do that?
What do you want to do? What, sir?
Like if I want the whole thing to be a wall and there's like a,
Strip of windows
yeah,
or
that
something?
goes the
Yeah.
whole way.
I'll show that to you as well. Okay, so this was another solution. Any other questions on this? No? Right. So, I'm gonna undo, or no, not undo. I'm just gonna delete the curtain wall again. The protein keeps going, so bring this guy back in. Unhide and view the element and come out of this, get everything. Okay. So, there's another tool that is interesting and useful, and that is inside your edit mass environment. So when you have a mass selected and when you go into edit in place, or you double click on it, you would go to this different environment where you can edit your massing. So there is this tool over here that you can split your faces. So I can just click on that and then go in and draw lines. Okay, that work. So I'm going to just show you that. You could also try to get it this other way. Try to do that. Okay. So anyways, let's say I split that this way. That's not a full split. I'll show you in the next section a better example of this, but for now, I think it's showing what I'm trying to say. Okay. So through this tool, you can cut your massing into different pieces, and I can go back in and now I have a selection. Okay, it's not cutting through. In the next phase, you will see that how you can cut a massing into two pieces and define each of them as a different element. So one of them could be a curtain wall window, the other one could be a solid wall, and then these two could be embedded inside each other. So next phase, I'm going to show you a little bit of massing that will cover this. Okay. What else was left for now? Okay. So maybe last thing on these massing tools, then I'm going to show some basic massing inside Revit. So the last thing I want to show was very useful. I actually came out of one of the questions was asked in class was how to put a curtain wall inside an existing wall, which is an interesting solution when you have some odd shaped windows. So let's say I have this wall and it's not really in this shape. It's a different format of a wall. So I would go edit my profile, move these things around however I want them to move, and then they will just follow my lead and they would form the wall however I want it to be. So that's the step one, to make an irregular wall. Then let's say I have a window inside it that is not, again, a regular one. So the way to do that is, again, to draw another wall here, and it's overlapping. I would go edit profile, and again, I'm gonna start moving things around and making another odd shape here that is not regular, just trying to form something there. Okay, let's say that's the window I want to put in. I would say okay. Now I have a wall on a different wall. So if I select this and define that as a curtain wall here, it's not going to show up. So I'm going to go and select my wall, go to edit type, and there's a check says automatically embed. So if I do that, then whenever the curtain wall is inside a wall, it would embed that curtain wall as a portion of that wall, so it would show up properly as a glazed portion. So now I've got a glazed portion inside an existing wall, and now I can go in and again, if I want to add my mullions inside, or add my grids, or however I want to get this work for me. So that's a solution for putting windows inside the walls by embedding curtain walls. Questions?
That doesn't work on curved walls.
That doesn't work on curved walls.
There's no option to edit.
That does work on curved walls if it's only curved on plan.
But if like the part where you would click edit profile is grayed out,
Yes, you're right. Yeah.
so how
Yeah.
do you edit the profile?
So if it's a curved in plan, then you can't do it in an edit profile. You need to do a massing. So I'll show you guys that right now. Okay. So here's the massing tools in Revit. It's under massing, and you can do an in-place mask. But before getting there, I want to open a new family to show you guys what's available in editing and doing some massing work, and then go back to Revit. Okay, so when you do a new massing, and you can go down and say, I want to pick a metric generic model, it will open kind of a new environment for you. So if you go to a 3D view, you can see some of these tools are new and different. You were not doing them before. And these are some of the things that are available for you inside Revit to do some massing. So if I want to do an extrusion, I can just easily draw something on the floor, and then I can say, okay, I'm done with that. It will do the extrusion for me. I can click on it and change that. And I can also go back in and edit different pieces of this, move them around, and play with that a little bit. I can do different kinds of editing things inside Revit, where you can see. Where you can see all these tools, kind of show you the different ways you can make a massing form inside. So you can do extrusion, you can do blend or sweep or revolve or swept bend or void form. So just quickly going back and doing maybe a swept bend, you can have two forms that would blend into each other and create a form for you. You can also make void forms that would cut out of an existing geometry. So let's say I've got this here, I want to make a form out of that, and it's a void form, and now it's cutting through that other one. So that's kind of the basics of what you can do massing in Family, and Family is useful because you can see all these split lines and all these tools that are available for you. You could also do those inside a Revit environment. So if I close this new Family that I opened and go back to my Revit environment, so this is the Revit project that I had open, I would go under massing, in place mass. It would still be kind of the same environment, but it doesn't show me the tools that are available. However, if I put in the proper tools, let's say I draw a rectangle and I say okay, make, and I select that and I say create the form for me, it's kind of trying to read what kind of tools that was showing in the previous stage I'm trying to use here. And then in this case it guessed that I'm trying to do an extrusion. It does the extrusion for me, then I can go in and pick points and move them around, or edges and move them around, or faces, and do the same thing. I could also do, if I delete that and I'm still inside doing the massing thing, if I draw a set of curves here and have a different set of curves there, and it's in 2D. I could also do them in 3D, so I move some of these up and down so that it has a 3D definition in it. Then when I select both of the curves and go say create the form, now it's gonna do this kind of thing for me. When I say finish, now I don't know how much it's visible, but it's kind of creating that form for me. Now I can use this to make my wall by faces and that kind of thing. Now the split face should work. So if I go in and click on these guys, it's reading this nicely. So I can go in and connect to I can go in. It's doing a lot of thinking. Maybe I'll do a smaller cut. So if I do a cut only from here to there, then I say okay. Now this mask should have two pieces, and when I go wall with face, I can pick this face separately than that face, and I can give them, I can select them separately, and I can give them different materials. So in the case of your question, if you have a curved surface like this and that's your wall, you could draw a cut piece through it here, and then you could define that as a different wall element and give that a different material. Or it could be a curtain wall system of it may be, I'm trying to see if it works here. It's probably too heavy, but I'll give it a try. Okay, so let's say that's what you wanted to do. And then now when I go in and want to create my curtain system, I can pick only this one in the middle, create this system. It's not going to work, but it will work eventually. And then when you define these by faces, you can give them different materials. You have now different walls to pick and go from there. So those are some of the tools you can do massing inside Revit. So as you see, we did this curvature inside. You can do booleans and reductions and additions and draw some things on the wall. So go in and play with the massing a little bit. In the next module, when we're talking about Dynamo and some design elements inside of it, I'm going to show a little bit more examples of this and some adaptive components, how you can define this as a roof structure, and then you can make grids or kind of a unique grid system that would read off of a component and just adapt that to your form. So those are the things that we're going to see later, but for this exercise that you're doing right now, it's just enough to know that there are some massing tools inside Revit that you can use. If something's not working from the import that you're doing, you can probably go in and easily just model that inside your Revit. Any questions?